Hey, it's Rebecca. When we lived in Southern Illinois, when I was in first grade, we lived there for a year. We lived on a farm out in the middle of nowhere with the big old, Southern Illinois hills behind us. We used to go running in the hills all the time. Well, Richard, the farmer, had his cows, inside this enormous, field. And he had strung up barbed wire and electric fence all along, the field to keep them in. And there was one steep hill that was like this. I mean, it was really steep. And poor people do the weirdest things for fun. We couldn't afford toys. We didn't have toys. So my sister, who was a year and a half older than me, she was in third grade. We used to climb the post around that electric barbed wire fence and, go roaming around in the field. We had to be careful. The cows didn't care, but if the bull saw us, he'd chase us. So one of the things we liked to do is we would climb up to the top of that really, really steep hill, and then we would run down it to see if we could stop before we hit the fence and got electrocuted. And it was, when you got going, it was so fast. You usually just had to fall down. So that was like a fun thing. And Charlie, my beloved stepdad, who I'm writing a World War II trilogy about. He was a Marine in World War II. But he was a real poor kid during the Depression too, and he said they used to have Socko paddles, with the ball on the end and the elastic string. And, the elastic string always breaks, and then the Socko paddle's done for. So he and his friends used to take their, blank Socko paddles out into the woods and try to find a bumblebee nest, because they nest in the ground a lot of times. And then they'd creep up to the bumblebee nest and they'd stomp their feet and see how many bumblebees they could hit with the Socko paddle before they got stung. So crazy stories, but imagination is a great thing. It's kind of destructive sometimes. We used to play, we saw the movie The Miracle Worker. So one of us, when we were walking, down the big long lane going to the house after school, we would pretend to be Helen Keller and Annie Sullivan. And whenever my sister was Annie Sullivan and I was Helen Keller, we'd tie a scarf over our eyes so we couldn't see. She'd run me into the electric fence just to be mean. And I thought that was really funny. And, when you bundle up in a coat, you don't feel it right away. And then when you do, it's like, ah. So crazy things that people will do, especially kids.